Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Thank you for being here. I am wanting to start off with a bit of a warning. There is a trigger warning to this, obviously. You've seen it in the thumbnail and you decided to click on it anyway. I wanted to go through the Goddess Power Oracle and the Divine Feminine. And the reason I'm calling in these divine beings at this moment is because I have just received a big message from so I'm going to shuffle these cards actually whilst I'm channeling. So the message is around twin flames who are under attack. Now, I had always felt that the channeled messages that come through were a little bit odd because there was some sort of alignment with what other readers were saying. But generally speaking, their channel had far more views or far more likes or far more engagement. And personally, I'm going to put my vulnerability out there for all of you who are so beautiful. And honestly, I appreciate every single one of you. I hope you know this because the fact that I don't have that many people watching these videos or that many people engaging, it means so much to me when I do see those numbers, whether it's 30 or 40 or 50, like that's still a room full of people. And it makes me appreciate what I'm doing that much more. And so I wanted to just share with you how appreciative I am. And it's not lip service. I genuinely am so grateful that you've taken time to do this. And the reason that I wanted to talk about the trigger warning around twin flames is what I've noticed on some of the shorts that I posted on YouTube, and this is the same on whatever platform I'm posting on. There are certain messages that just aren't being channeled outwards. And, I've looked at hashtags or I've looked at particular thumbnails, and there are many, many, many templates that I just don't get along with. I cannot fathom like replicating that. And when they say, look, you need to like and you need to share and you need to save and you need to do all of this, all I say is, let me know if it resonates because I'm really interested about what your journey is and how it affects you and whether you've resonated. That's it. So I don't ask you to engage to get the channel going. I already know that it will reach the right people at the right time. Why am I talking about all of this? Wow. What I've noticed, and I really couldn't understand until like recently, is this year in particular. So, whenever you're seeing the message, it is timeless. But when I'm recording this in August 2025, there have been a lot of people who have gone through quite a lot of pain, challenges, triggers. And I don't mean this as a bad thing. I feel like it is a good thing because you're still able to pull yourself into a higher vibrational frequency. So you're building up your toolbox, if you will. Now, when we're going through this, it's really important to understand the illusions around us. Now, when we step into the spiritual journey, we go through a phase and an initiation, if you will, when we see past the illusions of money, materialism, like all of these different things. We see past the illusion of many, many, many things, like the government and certain people in power and social media, right? But and personally, I'm just saying it from my point of view, what I have been probably a little delayed on catching on, and I've said this before, I've said use your discernment when people want you to buy their workshops or pay for certain things regarding union, regarding twin flames. So, purchase these subliminals and you'll be with your person, or buy this workshop and you'll get into union with your person. Like, it's just a charlatan way of manipulation, basically. And a lot of people are so desperate in the space of trying to find understanding and clarity, they get hoodwinked, and it's not really your fault because you haven't been able to use your discernment. You haven't been able to strengthen your intuition and your courage because you, as an individual, are a very huge empath. You've let down your boundaries and your walls to help other people. And in doing that, you've been FUCKED up, right? You have been trodden on and walked over and manipulated. And a part of you thinks, well, I would still do that again because it helped that person, right? Aside from that type of personality, you've then come into this awareness of twin flames. And because of that, you are still being pulled on your divine energy, your light energy, because people want that, and I'm not saying it is you are easily manipulatable. I feel like you were probably in a space where you were probably feeling a little bit desperate and you needed that clarity and coherence and that wall. And unfortunately, the wall falls away and you feel foolish for falling after having lent on that specific thing, the pillar or the wall or the house or whatever it is. Now, why am I saying all of this? Well, when we see that there are certain high profile channels that are being thrown out into the ethers, into the frequency, because we have to look back at what social media is. If you think about what social media can do, the biggest bang for your buck, the biggest algorithmic hit is if you put somebody else under attack. If you trigger somebody, and if you, what is the word that I'm looking for? It's not trigger, but basically it's also saying that, oh my goodness, I've just had a mind stop. Oh, okay, I see what it is. Right. So basically, what I'm hearing right now is this is going to be too much for some people. What I mean by that is you have been told that this is what twin flames are. This is what the hardship that you need to go on. Thank you, Spirit. The hardship that you need to go on, the hard work that you have to put in, the turmoil, the shadows, the healing that you have to go through. Yes, to a degree, that is important. But then what people end up doing is playing on that attack by saying, well, you know what? This is going to provoke you, and it's going to promote me. It's basically another version of climbing up the ladder, but kicking the person behind you, below you. Now, that's not what twin flames are. That's not what twin flames people are. And what I mean by that is there are very specific energies that are preventing twin flames from coming into union. And the way they do it is play on that ego. They play on that ego by encouraging the algorithm to provoke and trigger you. And what I mean by that, so bringing it back around full circle, if you can put something that pees people off, if you can aggravate them and ignite angry emotions, that's going to get a higher engagement rate than other things. But what they don't know, they may be doing this unconsciously, but what they don't know is they are trying to bring down the twin flames because the energy and frequency of love is beyond anything that they've ever experienced, and they're afraid of that. So they're attacking the twin flames because of the fear that they will never reach that higher frequency and equilibrium. Now, let's be honest, everybody can reach that, but there is a specific pathway that the twin flames have to go on because their mission and their purpose as one in union is far greater than one soul, for example. And I'm not talking about fame or success or wealth and all of these things. Now, there is a ton of information online. We are being bombarded with things of manifestation of do this and then you'll manifest your person, do this and you'll manifest a lot of money. I feel like the people who are still here in this reading are understanding that that in itself is an illusion. That if you're asked to engage to promote something else or to buy something, you're using your discernment between, oh, okay, is this actually real? Am I resonating with this spirit energy, or is it my ego that is wanting that reassurance? Now, if you're starting off in this twin flame journey, or you've been here for a little while, you've all been through the phase where you needed that support and you needed that information because there wasn't any information filtering to you. And that's the key word. They weren't being filtered to you. Because you're an empath and because you have this higher vibrational frequency, everybody wants to sink their teeth into your energy. So you had gone on readings, you've gone on tarot channels, and you've gone and listened to all these different gurus, if you will, around twin flames. And then what's going to happen, and I've seen this on the community, is what people then, it's very few and far between. It doesn't really happen much on my channel, but I have noticed this enough to create a message about it. When people say, well, that's not twin flame. Well, twin flames have a very hard life, and not all twin flames get into union. The point that I'm making is they are supposed to trigger you because they don't understand. Now, they don't understand because either they've been fed the lie and they're in the loop of a karmic egoic cycle, or they're just never going to be twin flames. So it's very hard for you to explain what twin flames are to somebody who has no comprehension of the journey, the feeling, and the higher vibration of it. And so the reason that I'm here saying these messages is the twin flames have always been under attack. But because we've been led astray by, oh, you can manifest your person doing this, you can need to do these spells, and you need to listen to these subliminals, and you need to do this. Like, we get pulled in so many different directions, which is why we've always encouraged the divine feminine, who is usually the first awakened, but it could also be the divine masculine who is first awakened. Anybody who's listening to this reading and has been the first awakened, it gives you the acknowledgement that, yes, you were the first to understand that you were awakening, that you had to go through a process of pathways to heal certain wounds and triggers and traumas, and even tap into your own Akashic records to understand what your purpose is. And along that journey, you've discovered what twin flames are. And you've discovered, not by validation, but you've discovered that this is a part of you that you cannot logic your way into. It's almost like you can try and describe it, but it's indescribable. That's the type of energy that I'm getting here. Now, because we've got so many people either wanting to be twin flames or really against twin flames, because they always think that they have these ideas that they've been fed through social media, and the social media thread is that they are a few and far between, that they don't happen with everyone, that it's a hard journey, that it's very, very difficult, and not all twin flames come together. That is completely incorrect. And I want you to really use your discernment, because it was always about you aligning with your higher self to bring in divine union within. And when you're understanding that love is not the highest frequency, it's peace, it's acceptance, it's actually being in the high vibrational energy of, there is another word. It's not just acceptance, but there's something else. And actually say this in my book, which is hilarious that I can't think of it right now, but it is in my book, Love Within. What I'm trying to say here is if you ever felt that you weren't sure about the twin flame, or that you needed that validation, or you've been in the process where, you were being everything to everyone and you never really felt heard, seen as you are. The twin flame journey has got you to this phase where you're able to view particular messages that aren't being seen to everyone, that aren't being exposed to the majority, because the few and far between are now able to understand, well, this is my bubble. And I really need to protect this. I need to protect myself from all of these entities. Some of you may not even be watching the news lately. Like, you just kind of touch in and kind of go, okay, I know what the gist of what's happening right now. But they're so caught up in the distraction. And the comparison that I wanted to make here, that Spirit is encouraging me to share, is when people who make a lot of money and are in power, are in very high profile, powerful roles, they don't get reprimanded as much as the little person does. And what I mean by that is, there was a news story to say that a company had been fined a couple of $1 million for firing their employees during COVID, because it was unjust and it was unfair and it wasn't actually correct. It wasn't legally correct. Now, first of all, who's making those legal rules? The people who are in power, or the people who are in power before them. And then you think, well, okay, well, what happened to the thousands of people who lost their job? Well, we don't know, because the headline was the company got fined a couple of $1 million. We don't know whether those millions of dollars have actually gone to the people who lost their jobs at the time, because it affects the little people far more than it affects the bigger person who owns that company. And what I'm saying is, there are a few people at the top, high profile, who control. And then they try and divide the population. And the twin flames are feeling this divide through the illusions, through all of the manipulation tactics. And they're saying, well, wait a second, we're not just being hoodwinked with everything in this world of being divided, because the more we divide, the less we're against these higher profile people. There's less of them than there are of us, but we're all divided, by countries, by race, by jobs, by wealth. That's what they want us to do, is keep dividing. And twin flames have never wanted, the people never wanted twin flames to come together. Why? Because their mission and their purpose is far greater, so they can change the world. So if you are in this video and you are thinking about your twin flame and you think, actually, I did have those illusions where I needed to be in separation and I needed to let them go, and I questioned the connection. That's completely fine and that's completely okay. And I want this space to be a safe haven for you, and to really feel that your feelings were valid, to know that you are valid. But now you're stripping away the masks and you're stripping away the layers that really ask you to become who you are, to be the version of you that you wanted to be. And you don't need to be anything for anyone, but who you are is perfect, just as you are, without changing. And I'm also seeing this phase of separation. It's really, really funny, because I'm actually reading a book, and it's such a brilliant series. Like, I'm reading the series of Flight and Glory, if anybody wants to look into that. And it's really helping me, like, shed some emotions. Like, I'm not a huge crier, but when those emotions come about, I know full well it's a release. And so the reason I'm bringing up this series is that is a catalyst for me to shed whatever I need to release. I don't need to overanalyze it. I just need to allow the process, the alchemical process, to take place. Now, the funny thing is I always thought myself as person who needed help around my English. Like, I wasn't very good at grammar or spelling and things like that. And I kept telling myself that story. This does come back to twin flames, I do promise that. But the reason I'm bringing this up is I always felt I was a slow reader and that I wasn't good enough. to write, to read, to pronounce certain things. I always felt the lack. And so only today, or maybe even yesterday, I said to myself, oh, I really want to slow down my reading. And I want to savor where I am in this book before I get to the next part, the next chapter, the next page, the next book, because I will be on the final book of the series. And part of me had this revelation in the shower, and I thought to myself, I never would have appreciated being a slow reader. And now I want to slow down even more to appreciate where I am. Well, that's the exact same thing of when you're in separation, where you get to a point where you're like, wait a second, before anything else happens, let me just savor this moment. Let me savor this memory and this space and this transformation. That's where I think the twin flames are. Not only are you seeing past the illusions around you, you're not identifying with a lot of readings out there, and you're probably barely even listening to readings. Like, that's the type of energy that I'm getting, is there is a lot of you who are here still thinking, yeah, that's right, I don't identify with the majority who ask for things or who want engagement just for the sake of you're kind of seeing past those illusions, is what I'm saying. They are being shattered around you. And in that moment, you're also acknowledging that, let me just be in this phase of separation because I'm actually really happy. I'm actually acknowledging how far I've come, what I'm doing. And before union actually comes in the physical, I'm appreciating being in union with myself. I can feel my divine counterpart with me. I'm accepting that love. I'm seeing that love in the physical. It's being replicated and mirrored back to me by the universe. And I want to appreciate where I am right now. And I didn't even pull any cards right now, but I am going to pull one card, one from the goddess power and one from the divine feminine. And the two cards that were prominent of this is time and Diana, the queen of wilderness. And I will read out some of these messages because I feel like time is very again, we've been put under the illusion that we need to respect divine timing. And then we've got to the point where we've hated being in the twin flame connection. We've hated people channeling these messages and making us hate our twin flame. And that's not correct. That's not okay. It's not okay to victimize and villainize yourself or your twin flame. And they have been getting away with this, but the fact that you're here on this message, let me know if this resonated at all. Like, even if you don't want to write anything, just put some emojis so I know that this message has kind of clicked for you. Because you are respecting divine timing. That's the type of energy that I'm getting. There is a divine timing that you are in, and you're completely absolved of some of the hurt that you've experienced in the past, but it's giving you the acknowledgement that you are right here, right now. So important to this journey. And your twin flame is too. And it's almost like you're coming to a sense of respect for this journey in a way that you probably haven't really grounded, right? And so let's have a look at Ariana. She is the goddess of time. And right now you have all the time in the world to reach the fullest potential of your intentions and desires, which is just a beautiful message to tie in, that the Celtic goddess of time is your champion. She will ensure your timing is perfect. Your timing is always perfect. And the hours will expand the gift to you in this space, that you will always receive the right alignment, the right support, and complete everything that you started. And that was the intention that you set it with. So recognize that today, no matter what is in front of you, time is your friend. You know, consider everything that you've intended and desired has its own relationship to time, and all will come to you in the perfect form, in the perfect moment. Patience, dedication, even the slow journey of a twin flame. You're now acknowledging how beautifully timed it actually is. And so your timing is completely perfect, even when you read and listen to this message. So sometimes we have been through the illusion of worrying that we're not going to have enough time, right? We've been fed that fear. We've been fed the fear about running out of time. Yeah, wait a second. It was when we were in our 20s, like women were dying. And so we had to have children earlier. And then in our 30s, we realized we can still have children. Well, wait a second. But we would, the medicine wasn't strong enough because women were dying from childbirth, from other things. So now we've realized, oh, well, no, you can't have children over 40. It's too late. No, you can. And there is evidence to show us mothers are having children later. So the fear of our biology failing us has been fed to us and we've bought it. And so when we think we're running out of time or we're too late or we're stressing about it or we're getting overwhelmed by it, especially when we think our twin flame will never come back into our life and they'll never be in union with us, that's the fear being fed. That's the ego feeding your fear. And so they're stuffed and you are cutting the ego's hunger off because right now you know that this attitude was always fueled by fear. And it is a strange, unusual power to contract time. And you can course correct, even if you felt a temporarily struggle, you're always going to have enough time to choose how to experience your reality, including like listening to this message. But consider this truth: the struggles, the disappointments, or even the delays are all part of the experience on life's terms. Part of this journey is understanding that if you didn't have this message when you were in union, like would it have clicked? Would the penny have dropped? Well, hardly. It's actually saying, well, this is perfect for where I am right now. And I'm going to be a better version of myself because when we do come into union, I am the better version of myself alone, independently. I am self-sufficient and I can be a better version of myself when we are together. And so let the things that pass you by pass. We don't need to hold on to those things, but we can hold on to the truth and the trust that we are exactly where we are meant to be in divine timing. So let's have a look at the card of Diana. And this is the Queen of the Wilderness. The language of the natural world is a frequency of love. So let's have a look at which page she is actually on. Some of you might be seeing 140, 190. The goddess of wilderness, or the queen of wilderness, should I say. Now, I'm not going to read the background. I'm just going to read the soul message, which is the answer is simple. Elemental need to just walk barefoot on the grass, or even better, in the mud. And we get so caught up in what's happening or what isn't happening. Sometimes we forget that the pause is actually the most beautiful part of our journey. And we just need to be in that moment. We forget that there is tremendous power surging up from the earth, wanting to take whatever energy is no longer serving us. And we forget that we can commune with the trees, those ancient protectors, the elders whose language comes with the help of the wind, the slow, soft caress that touches our cheek. Answers sometimes need to come from the basic desire of the body to feel grounded here on earth. So Diana is associated with fertility and the phases of the moon and the ability to communicate with animals. And of course, not all human language, but the frequency of love and intention, which is what the animals perceive. So we can open ourselves up to it. We can connect to the wisdom of the natural world, even if we live far away from it. So when we're deep in our heart of the busiest city, or there's a sign on the bus or a logo on a t-shirt or a card somebody sends us, it will carry an image of an animal and it will give us exactly what we need at the time. Maybe even we visit a possum on the fire escape or a hawk on a window ledge. We don't have to be in the wilderness to access the wisdom of the natural world, but the wilderness is within us and it is a part of us. We are a part of it. So there's so much more we can receive from the wilderness of life around us, and it just has to develop so the heart can hear it. So there could be a spirit animal that has a medicine or a message to give you. Maybe ask yourself what that may be. And let me know if this resonates. I'm sending you guys so much love. Bye for now.